Martinsville under the lights. What's going on, guys? It's Fast Cars, Fast Money in NASCAR. It's heading to Virginia this weekend, Saturday night, actually, for the Cup Series. Going to be racing at the short, flat, paperclip, half mile, Martinsville track. Super excited for the race. It's one of my favorite races all year long. This one's going to be under the lights for the entire race, whereas we saw the last fall race started, still in the daylight and then kind of transitioned to under the lights. So should be a fun race, and of course that means NASCAR DFS is back as well. So starting off with some housekeeping. First, thank you guys for stopping by. If you're new here, we're Fast Cars, Fast Money. We break down NASCAR DFS slates, whether it's for the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, or even the Cup Series. We'll go down through our drivers, who we like, who we don't like, kind of our strategies and previews behind, our thought process looking into the slate. But if you guys have any lineup questions, just hop over on Twitter. It's at FastCarsFM. Feel free to hit us up over there, or you can just drop any questions or comments you guys have down in the comments below. We'll make sure that we get back to you before the slate locks. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's hop over into the race preview and initial thoughts. So if you've watched the Xfinity Series video, our thought process is very similar. So again, Martinsville is a short track. I think there's 500 laps here. And every time a lap is clicked off, there's points given out for whoever runs the fastest lap and whoever is leading that lap. So there's so many dominator points available in this slate that you really need to nail those dominators. And it's tough when you don't have practice or qualifying, because you have no idea what kind of setups people are bringing, if they're going to be fast, in the long run or the short run. It's really tough to judge. So with it being so tough to judge, you really want to try to get as many of those potential lap leaders in your lineup as possible. I would say 2 is definitely the minimum, but if you can get 3 or 4 guys in your lineups who you think have the potential to lead laps, I think you're going to be in pretty good shape. We normally see at Martinsville one driver score easily, around 100 points or even over 100 points. And if you get that guy in your lineup, there's a good chance you're going to cash. You might not take down the tournament if you miss out on some of the other guys in your lineup, but having that guy is going to be, make or break for you. So we just want to stack our lineups with as many lap leaders as possible in order to increase our chances of nailing whoever that lap leader is going to be. So if you're looking at previous tracks, they're running the high horsepower, low downforce package for this race specifically. So I'd focus more on maybe Phoenix, who ran well there. You could look at Martinsville's race last year, mainly I would say towards the second portion of the race, because that's when it was under the lights. And this race is going to be under the lights for the whole time. So, but really, I think you really just have to look at who's been running well this year and who has momentum and plug them into your line. So let's hop over into the driver breakdowns now. Starting off with the expensive guys, we got Truex, Larson, Elliott, and Keselowski. All of them are lights out plays. You can't really go wrong with any of these guys. Draftkings knows what they're doing. They're pricing these guys up for a reason. Martin Truex Jr. has just been, for the longest time, he always had the storyline of he can't win on short tracks. He can't win on short tracks. Now, anytime we go to a short track, he's usually one of the favorites to win. Last year, if you look at the fall Martinsville race, Truex and Elliott easily had the best 2 cars, and he should be a threat to win again. Start 7th, so he can get you a little bit of place differential points, but you're really just banking on Truex to lead laps if you're paying that much up for him. Kyle Larson's also really expensive. He's been probably the best car this year. I don't know if Martinsville is necessarily Larson's best track. If you look at previous, sorry, my allergies are killing me, but if you look at previous, history, but again, he wasn't in this good of a car. He's been really good this season, so I don't mind sprinkling him in. I actually feel a little bit more confident on some of these other guys up here. like a Chase Elliott and a Brad Keselowski of leading laps than I do with Larson, but I still think Larson's a really good play. I'm still going to be playing him. Chase Elliott won this race last year. He's been fast all year long. He's just been getting unlucky. So I think he's due to win a race, and I could see that easily coming, Saturday night at Martinsville. So love Chase Elliott. Brad Keselowski is another guy I really like. I would say this week and next week at Martinsville and Richmond are going to be two tracks that Keselowski has circled on his calendar. He enjoys going here. Love Keselowski this week. He kind of disappointed people at Phoenix, starting on the pole. He doesn't start on the pole here. He starts 10th. So I think he could easily move forward and he could easily get up there and lead some laps. So I'm going to have a lot of Keselowski in my lineups. And he's the cheapest. He's still $11,000, but it gives you some salary relief over like an Elliott, a Larson, or a Truex. Not much, but, it might help. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, and Ryan Blaney down in this 10K range. Again, we haven't really been playing too many of the pole sitters this year just because we don't have practice in qualifying, so they're just guessing on the setups. And if they don't get those setups correct, they're going to go backwards fast, and they're going to just really hurt your line. So Hamlin's been easily the most consistent car all year long. He hasn't won yet, but he's always finishing in the top 10. If you look at the point standings, he's easily the favorite, and he's easily leading, and he hasn't even won yet. So it just shows you how good Hamlin has been running, and he usually runs pretty well at Martinsville. But I don't mind Hamlin, even if he doesn't lead laps. Like, he should be able to finish around where he starts. But again, we really want them to lead laps. So I like Hamlin. Logano starts first. He should have the early jump. He has the best chance of leading early. Logano's really good at Martinsville. I could easily see him leading up until the competition caution. But again, he starts first. So if he doesn't nail the lineup, it's really going to hurt your line. So he's Logano and Hamlin, I would say, are just more risky than a Keselowski, than an Elliott, than a Truex, just because of based on where they're starting. Like, they're not that much riskier, but again, you need them to lead laps in order to pay off. And all of these guys, I'm going to be sprinkling these guys into multiple lineups. But if I had to pick, I feel really good about Elliott. I feel really good about Keselowski. I feel really good about Truex. So those are the guys I would probably, increase my exposures on. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to have exposures to Logano, Hamlin, Larson, Blaney, even, for example. Penske dominates these short flat tracks, so Ryan Blaney should be in the picture Saturday night. He could easily get out there and lead. He's a potential lap leader. Guy I really like this week is Kyle Busch. He's pretty cheap at $9,800, so he's pretty easy to fit in your lines. Starts 12th. Martinsville is definitely one of Kyle Busch's better tracks, and it's a ton of laps. And usually the races that are a bunch of laps, we see the 18 car just progressively getting better over the course of the race. So he might not be a factor early in the race, but maybe I could see him being a factor later in the race. So maybe you pair him with a Chase Elliott or a Truex or a Keselowski who you think might be able to lead early. And then maybe Kyle Busch is more of a factor towards the end. I could easily see that storyline playing out. Kevin Harvick, can't believe I'm saying this, but I have absolutely no interest in this guy. I don't really have any interest in any of the Stewart-Haas drivers, to be honest. They've been terrible all year long. Even at places that you look at track history and you're like, wow, Harvick's going to be lights out this week. He's in prime position to dominate this race. He's going to score a ton of points. He's the most expensive driver. Like, everyone's playing Harvick. Harvick's the guy you need in your line, and it hasn't worked out at all. I don't know what is going on over at Stewart-Haas Racing, but until they can figure that out, I don't want any of those drivers in my lineup, if possible. If I can avoid them, I'm going to avoid them. And Martinsville isn't usually one of Harvick's better tracks. So, yeah, he's $9,600. It's pretty cheap for Harvick, but is he going to lead laps? Probably not. And you need that in your lineup if you're going to take down these contests. Guy I really like is Alex Bowman. I'd probably much rather play Alex Bowman at $9,200 than pay all the way up for Kyle Larson, with 11.7. They're in the same equipment. Bowman has shown that Martinsville is a pretty good track for him. He ran really well here last year. They basically start in the same position, and he offers you a ton of salary relief. So he's easily one of those like tier 3. Like if you're plugging in your dominators, I'd maybe put Bowman as like your third dominator or even your fourth dominator. Like the chances of them leading laps are probably lower than like an Elliott or a Keselowski, but they're still there. He still has the chance to lead laps. So, and he's really easy to fit in your lines. Same with Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch is also really cheap. He starts 21st, offers you some place differential. And again, I probably feel more confident about Bowman leading laps, but Kurt Busch could lead laps, and Martinsville's a pretty good track for him. So these are guys I really like in these 8K to 9K range that give you some good salary relief, that still have the chance to lead laps. Same with William Byron. Like he starts third, he's a little risky, but we've seen him run well at these Martinsville, races in the past, and he's been really good this year so far. So he's going to be a factor as well. Same with Christopher Bell. Like Bowman, Busch, Byron, and Bell are guys I love. Like I'd love mixing and matching these guys with some of the more expensive guys. If you can get two of these guys above them and then plug in, a Bowman, a Busch, a Byron, or a Bell as your third dominator, or even maybe your fourth dominator, I think your lineup's going to be looking pretty good. Eric Almirola, not too crazy about. Yeah, he starts 30th, so he might be a good place differential play, but I don't see Almirola leading laps. I could see Christopher Bell leading laps. I could see William Byron leading laps. I could see Kurt Busch leading laps. I could see Alex Bowman leading laps. So if you can pay up for any of those guys, grab them over Eric Almirola. Matt Tabitadeno, he's okay. He starts 22nd. He's affiliated with Team Penske, so we know how good Team Penske is in this package. He could be a factor. He's definitely going to be in my player pool. Not going to go crazy, but I'll have some ownership there. Tyler Reddick probably just starts a little bit too high, starting 13th. Bubba Wallace starts 25th. We know how good that 23 car equipment is. He's not going to lead laps, but he could be a good place differential play. Like I'd much rather play Bubba Wallace than pay up for Eric Almirola starting 30th. So I don't mind that. Austin Dillon starts 18th. Not too crazy. Cole Custer, people might think it's a good play because he starts 26th. But again, Stewart-Haas Racing has just been awful. So I'm really trying to avoid that, even though he's $7,000. Like, it's crazy how just the prices of Stewart-Haas Racing is just continuing to go down. Ryan Newman was really good at the Bristol dirt race, but unfortunately that means he's probably going to be, off the player pool for Martinsville. He starts 8th, and there's just too many good cars in the field, and that's going to be tough, especially at that price tag. Eric Jones, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez. These are all guys I have low exposure to, low interest on. I just don't see Eric Jones having too much upside. Same with Chris Buescher. Martinsville is a track that there's a lot of, bumping with the bumpers. You're going to see guys moving people out of the way. It's a week that, it's really easy to get on other drivers' nerves, and Ross Chastain just loves to, make other people mad. And that could easily come back and bite him in the butt here. So he's in a decent equipment. I mean, he's in the same equipment as Kurt Busch, but he's pretty cheap, but just a risky play. Chase Briscoe has been terrible this year. It's crazy how, last year in the Xfinity Series, it's like Chase Briscoe was in your lineup every week, and now we don't even talk about him in the Cup Series. He's completely irrelevant. I don't know if that's just Stewart-Haas Racing as a whole or him just struggling to adjust to these Cup cars, but usually Martinsville is a pretty tough track on rookies, so I don't really like Chase Briscoe too much there. Daniel Suarez, I like starting 11th. Even though I have low ownership there, I mean, it's tough to trust that car starting 11th, but we've seen that. I mean, this car is actually outperforming the 23 car that Bubba Wallace is in, which just shows you how well that this team is performing, how well they're setting up these cars. So I like Daniel Suarez. I mean, if you can't get to a better play on the slate, I mean, if you land on him, it's okay. Stenhouse starts 6th, same as Newman. He was really good last week, but again, probably puts him out of the DFS factor this week. The guy that I actually really like is Ryan Preece. In order to pay up for those dominators, you got to pay down for some of these cheaper plays. Ryan Preece usually is a guy I avoid, but he has an extensive background running the Whelen Modified Tour, Whelen Modified Series, and they run a lot of laps at Martinsville. Martinsville is like the premier track for that series. Preece has a lot of experience. Yeah, it's in a little bit of a different car, but he knows how to run this track. And I don't know if a lot of people are going to play him starting 17th, and we really just need him to finish around where he starts. So I can see him running in the top 20 as long as he doesn't get in the trouble. And I think a lot of people are going to go down and see hey, Anthony Alfredo starts 35th. Hey, Corey LaJoie starts 34th. And look at the price tags there. Like, I can see Alfredo and LaJoie having really high ownership. So if you're looking for a punt, pivot play, I think Ryan Preece is a good pivot there. But again, even if there's only like 5 or 8 points difference between these guys, it's really not going to matter if you don't nail the Dominator. So I don't mind paying down for an Alfredo or LaJoie if it means that you can take, maybe a Tyler Reddick or a Matt Benedetto and bump them up to a Christopher Bell or a William Byron or Kurt Busch or, someone like that, for example. So that's what I would focus on. I wouldn't like build your lineups around a punt play. I would more so build your lineups around the guys who you think who can lead laps, and then just try to find a way to fit those guys in. So the punt plays that I have in play this week would be Ryan Preece, probably my favorite. Michael McDowell would probably be, he's riskier starting 14th. I'd much rather play Preece. And then probably Alfredo and LaJoie. Like, yeah, they're going to be higher owned, but again, if you nail the Dominator, it really doesn't matter. And they start so deep in the field that even if they have a bad day, like, it's not going to hurt your lineup. Whereas Preece, for example, he's riskier. If he has a bad day, it's going to hurt your lineup more. But I could see him being lower owned and actually having a better finishing potential and scoring more points than an Alfredo or LaJoie. Anthony Alfredo has never raced here, ever. Not once. And he's been terrible all year long. There's a reason he's starting this draft deep in the field. I mean, he's $5,300. Justin Haley is more expensive than Anthony Alfredo. Corey LaJoie's $5,200. Like, we have to come to terms that these guys are just ugly punt plays. I mean, they're a little bit better than the BJ McLeod cars, the Quinn Huffs, the Josh Blickies, the Cody Wares, but honestly, they're really not that much better if you look at their finishing potential and where they're running. So just don't be fooled by the place differential there. You want to focus more on, finishing potential when you look at these punt plays. And if I think like Suarez has better finishing potential, he's more expensive. Stenhouse has better finishing potential. The only reason I don't like Stenhouse is he starts 6th. Ryan Preece has better finishing potential. Michael McDowell has better finishing potential. So yeah, these guys are riskier. But they're going to be lower owned, and they might even score more points than an Alfredo and LaJoie. So again, that's going to be it. Again, really just want to focus on jamming in as many of these lap leaders and fast laps, these Dominators. You got to get these Dominators in your line, maybe 2, 3, even if you can get 4 Dominators in your line, I think you're going to be in a good shape this weekend. That's going to be it. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, please like the video, subscribe so you're not missing out on future videos. Any questions you have, drop them in the comments. Hop over on Twitter. We'll have this spreadsheet over there for yourselves. You guys can pull it up. But that's going to be it. We will see you guys next weekend. So thank you guys as always.